and we will keep a close eye on those meetings and see what they do unpack and try and resolve. Thank you for your time. Now, let's talk about nuclear, the industry. The sector has, to a great degree, been in the doldrums since the Fukushima disaster in Japan in 2011. But in recent years and months, it has seen an upswing. And actually, in the last week, shares in nuclear energy companies surged to record highs. What's behind that? Well, if you watch this program, you'll know why. Artificial intelligence, of course. The huge data centers needed for the AI revolution use an awful lot of energy. And last week, both Google and Amazon announced plans to meet much of their upcoming energy needs from nuclear power through so-called small modular reactors. They're known as SMRs. They're based on the technology used in nuclear-powered submarines. And in Vienna today, an international conference on SMRs gets underway, hosted by the International Atomic Energy Agency. And I'm joined by Tom Greutrecht, who's Chief Executive of Nuclear Industry Association. A warm welcome to the program. So the fact that Google and Amazon have announced plans to invest in or to use SMRs to meet their energy needs has suddenly put a real spotlight on what you're doing this week.
Yes, I mean, what we know is that actually countries around the world and increasingly in Europe are turning to nuclear as part of their opportunity to be able to decarbonise their power supplies to increase energy security. But what we've seen in the last few days and last week or so is the culmination of a lot of discussion that's been going on with those who want their power supply direct, not necessarily through a grid, because they need to use a lot of clean, secure, reliable energy. And the best way of doing that they've assessed is for nuclear reactors, and that's what we're going to see, I think, increasingly become the case, not just in the US with the two that you've mentioned, but also increasingly in other places, including potentially in the UK.
So in Vienna this week, talk us through what you'll be discussing. Of course, there is increased demand now, and there's a lot of attention on SMRs as a means to providing energy for artificial intelligence, etc. What does this mean in terms of supply, in terms of risk, and where this will be happening, and what the reaction is to a lot of this? For example, in localized areas in the US, they don't want these SMRs on their doorstep.
Well, I'm not sure what you're citing for that, but actually communities that have nuclear and have had nuclear in the UK and around the world are the keenest to have new nuclear, because they know the reality of being part of a community with nuclear power stations, which is that you have a lot of good quality long-term jobs that come with it. But what we've been talking about in relation to SMR, not just for grid electricity, but also increasingly for direct customer use, so such as data centers, is that there is a desire and a need for reliable, secure, price predictable, clean power. You can't run data centers and AI in the future on burning fossil fuels, because it's incompatible with climate goals. You can't power data centers on the back of intermittent sources of energy, because you haven't got the reliability, and you can't do it on something where the input price is so volatile that you can't run your business and project your power needs. All of those things are solved with having SMR, and that's what we're seeing, the culmination of lots of discussion to get towards that point. And in Vienna this week, the IEA are coordinating and convening SMR technologists from around the world to ensure that the barriers to delivery are removed and that we can get this capacity up and running as soon as we can for grid electricity, for data centres and for other energy intensive users.
Okay. Well, Tom Greutrecht, thank you for your time. Chief Executive of Nuclear Industry Association. Let's bring you some other business stories now. The Brazilian president